Good morning, everyone. This is Kyle Oursler here over at 888 VoIP. I am the UCC product specialist and account manager on the team here for Yealink products. Wanted to just let everyone know that we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. First and foremost, want to say thank you to everyone taking time out of their day to meet with us and take a look at what Yealink has in the product portfolio in terms of current Skype for Business Edition supported IP phones and the future release of the Teams supported phones within the Yealink IP phone portfolio. We'll give it a couple more minutes here, not too much longer though, just to get a couple extra people in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. We will have time towards the end of the event for a question and answer session to try to not get pulled into too many questions or any sort of chat related issues during the presentation. There is some FAQs and things that will be posted as well. But certainly open to any sort of dialogue after the presentation, any questions or anything that maybe wasn't addressed during the slides. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Take probably about 20 minutes or so of your day, hopefully not too much longer here just to get through these slides. But again, my name is Kyle Oursler over here at 888 VoIP. If you're not familiar with 888 VoIP, we're one of Yealink's largest IP phone distributors here in beautiful Buffalo, New York. And so we'll be putting on this presentation today. We're a full service value-added distributor. If you haven't worked with us recently, I invite you to take a look. And if you are a current customer, we do appreciate your business and ongoing support. So general information about today's webinar. There will be a copy and the recording of today's presentation available after the fact. I mentioned before, if there's any questions or any opportunities for inquiry pop up, there is a chat feature and a question feature within the webinar, but there will be a Q&A and FAQ session here at the end of the presentation. So if you do have any questions and do want to get a recording afterwards, my email will be available to everyone as well as a couple different folks over at Yealink to reach out to in terms of resources for follow-up questions. Just a quick look at our objectives today, what we want to understand and review by putting on this presentation. And it's really today going to be focused on the journey to Teams from an organizational or business standpoint, as an end user or a reseller, understanding the value of Teams for an existing O365 or Skype for Business scenario, or a net new migration to the O365 or Teams product line, whether you're going to plan that for the future or if you have that existing product installed today for O365 for Skype for Business, whether that's the hosted or on-prem edition. We're going to take a look at the ways that we can migrate and plan to migrate to a Teams type of environment, incorporating the new Teams software from Microsoft and understanding the value add that Yealink brings to the table between the hardware that they provide and the software coming from Microsoft. We want to understand what current devices in terms of model are going to be available to the reseller and to the channel, both for the O365 supported phones as well as the Team specific phones that are going to be planned for release. And with that plan of release comes a new promotion program from Yealink, not only for demoing the product, but also for larger opportunities for the different new Teams supported phones. So when those are released, we will have a new promotion as well to go with that. So just to start off, just to set the scenario, we want to take a look at a quick quote from Bob Davis. He's the corporate VP over at engineering at Microsoft. And he had a really powerful statement in terms of the value that Yealink brings to the table towards their goal of achieving a vision of what they term as intelligent communication. An environment that they really want to focus on is all-in-one communication within a single endpoint. And so Yealink's new phones, according to Bob, with the Microsoft Teams application, are a great addition to their existing line of SFB products. They're very excited, as you can see, to continue collaborating closely together, and so is Yealink. And so they both have this shared vision, Microsoft and Yealink, towards achieving that more efficient communication model within all different types of business. And we'll see the different ways that the phones and software from Yealink currently with the O365 supported endpoints as well as the Teams supported endpoints will achieve that goal. So looking at what we can do today in terms of planning for migration to Teams, whether you have the existing Skype for Business infrastructure or not. What we want to take a look at, and this is a Microsoft provided roadmap and planner, so to speak. What we want to start by doing is looking at the roadmap of Teams products, the release of future products from Microsoft, the different Teams applications that are going to be available from Yealink as well. Then surveying the existing workforce, not only within your companies, but for different customers and end users, and seeing if they're using Teams today. And if they are, understanding the way that they use Teams and different Teams or Skype for Business products, how they relate to their communication goals and the environment that they do operate in. Today, we can run Teams and Skype for Business side by side, so that's why it's important to understand the current use scenario of the SFB software for different customers. There are different essential resources that can be checked on from Microsoft just to make sure that the existing environment is supportive to the use of Teams. That's a fully supported Microsoft tool that the reseller can access. And then as we move to a fully Teams integrated ecosystem, by incorporating Teams and O365 and Skype for Business endpoints, we can increase the user adoption rates of the joint software that will eventually become a fully integrated Teams solution, not only from Microsoft, but also from Yealink. So Microsoft has a vision of 5 user modes on this journey to Teams, coming from either Skype, Office 365, or a third-party voice platform. And they envision these 5 user modes as a combination between Skype for Business and Teams. And these modes depend upon how the independent softwares are actually integrated and used together. So moving from a Skype for Business environment to a Teams environment, we'll see the different ways and modes that Microsoft has identified for the communication and collaboration features. So by combining the different solutions, we can see that the different modes such as Skype for Business with Teams only or Teams collaboration only can come from just using Skype for Business and basic Teams. And then there's the ongoing modes that Microsoft has available, which would be the Skype for Business with Teams collaboration and meetings, islands, and the Skype for Business only or Teams only experience. So those 5 modes are how Microsoft envisions the user to adopt this type of solution based upon their different products that they have on the market today around Skype and Teams. So taking a look, we want to understand the current calling functions that are going to be built into Teams since we're understanding this product through the use of the Yealink phones. Within the current beta versions and the future initial versions of Teams products and Teams-enabled IP phones from Yealink, the standard telephony features we see listed at the top left of the product page here will include blind transfer, E911, a lot of standard phone-related features, as well as SFB supported Teams calling, so that if we have both products in play, we can integrate them for use at the same time. Also, additional standard IP phone-related TTY support, as well as Windows, Mac, Edge, and iOS and Android support as far as device integration is concerned. In the future, after the first release of the Teams-enabled IP phones from Yealink, there will be future collaboration releases in terms of firmware updates, both from Yealink and Microsoft, to further enhance and integrate the Teams software with the hardware that's going to be released here. So not only will we see a first-gen release of the product, we're going to see a refinement of the product in the future for better integration going forward as Microsoft continues to develop the Teams product. So that's an understanding of where Microsoft is headed in terms of the Team release, the Team integration with Yealink. But we want to take just a quick break and focus on what the current O365 Skype for Business portfolio looks like on the Yealink side of things in terms of what phones are currently available on the market today to integrate with that type of environment from Microsoft. So as a general statement, as we just saw in review of the Teams product, Yealink and Microsoft are continually going to invest resources in the feature improvement of the T4, specifically here in this slide, the T4 series phones for Skype for Business, as well as the future products with the T5 series phones that we're going to discuss. Recently, the T4 series, that includes all 4 phones within that series, recently passed Microsoft regression testing. That's internal testing that Microsoft does surrounded around defect rates, function testing, litmus testing, so to speak, for the hardware. And that was a recent battery of tests that Yealink passed in follow-up to continue to support the relationship that both Microsoft and Yealink have. Recently, there was a firmware update with feature enhancements added to the T4 series phones. And we saw within the Skype for Business environment the addition of the T58A and the T56A Android operating phones from Yealink. And those phones are currently available today, not only here at 888 VoIP, but across the channel. So this is a look today at the current feature set around the Skype for Business IP phone portfolio. Just a quick look at the features around each and every device and the types of installs and deployment scenarios we consider the product in. Gives us some context of how we want to take a look at the different products and IP phones that are supporting O365. So everything from the entry-level, everyday user type of phone with the T41, T42S, all the way up now to the CP960 conference phone, T56 and 58 Android operating media phones. We've expanded the spectrum, so to speak, in terms of how many use case scenarios we can promote and sell these types of IP phones in. And so now we move from just having the T4 series phones to including the T56 and 58, as well as the CP960 conference phones. So part of that continued integration and collaboration goal of Yealink and Microsoft has been bore out in the release of these new products. For those of you who are familiar, the IP phone, the T4 series, has been supported for 365 since 2017, so this is going to be continuing an ongoing relationship. So we want to take a look now at just how the new Skype for Business interface looks on the CP960 and how the full integration of the phone can allow for one-click access. And this will be a future look at how the Teams firmware and application will integrate with these types of phones as well. The goal is to bring one-click access to a variety of communication tools, whether that's a directory, scheduled Outlook events, a simple dial pad, voicemail messages, in the future collaboration tools. The goal is to make this very easy for the user to access the different tools at their disposal to enhance more effective and efficient communication and collaboration. And so this is how the initial release of not only Skype for Business firmware, but Teams applications and firmware will look on the CP960 specifically. And we have a look here now at the T56 and the T58 Teams enabled phones. So the Teams enabled phones, as we saw, or I'm sorry, the T58 and 56 phones that we saw within the spectrum of the product portfolio were considered to be higher end executive level or collaboration based communication tools. When we look at them from the Teams perspective, they are a little bit more flexible in terms of the use case scenario. We start at the mid-level user application when we are using these types of phones for the Teams enabled application and firmware, and that's surrounded around the feature set. We're going to take a look at that here in a second, but because of the ability to use the Teams software so easily and so readily, that's why we have a wider array of opportunities to install this type of phone. We'll see that the CP960 will also be using Teams as well, so that's a specific Teams application outside of the Skype for Business and O365 application. So these three phones will leverage some of the rich hardware features that Yealink brings to the table in terms of the built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth, Android operating system, color touchscreen. Those features are going to be leveraged from the Yealink side and then work to enhance the Teams experience that is coming from the Microsoft level. So between the two, we're going to have a deep integration with the Teams application running on these phones on the Android operating system. We'll have a full Teams interface, full Teams environment access as far as the directory, as far as all of the collaboration and communication tools, all be readily one touch available through all three of these phones. There is embedded calling and meeting features that will allow for enhanced communication and collaboration, and in the future, the Microsoft devices will be integrated with Cortana for one touch to activate voice commands. I personally saw this on display at Enterprise Connect. It was really, really interesting, really cool. Works quickly, works effectively, and so as these Teams products are developed, we'll see that the voice command feature will be a bigger and bigger piece of using the various collaboration tools that are going to be running on these devices. So now we have a very flexible product in terms of the hardware. With a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you have a lot of different connection options, and now we're talking about voice commands and one-touch access to multiple communication tools without effort. So the value proposition from Yealink in terms of their Teams-enabled phones is 4 key points. We touched on it a little bit in the previous screen, the high-quality Teams-ready devices, right? There's deep integration by firmware, by application. We see this in the existing portfolio for the Skype-enabled and Office 365-enabled phones that Yealink has already produced. And also with the future products that we have pending for release in terms of the integration with AI, calling and meeting features, one-click access availability, and then embedded with Teams-enabled or Skype for Business-enabled user interface. It allows for that high-quality user experience tied to both the hardware and the software. Because there's so many different hardware applications for the software coming from Skype for Business and from Teams, we can meet the needs now of a variety and an increased variety of users. Not only are we looking at mid-level, entry-level, and executive-level users, we can expand our reach in terms of hardware installs to collaboration and communication. We can proposition this product now as a future-proofing product as the Teams product is released and refined from Microsoft. We know that Yealink will have a continually supportive hardware endpoint that will support and most likely enhance future versions of the Microsoft products that are released. Plus, we have a variety of different physical install options available to us as well in terms of using this product in meeting spaces, huddle spaces, collaboration rooms. It's not just necessarily an IP desk endpoint or an IP phone endpoint for a desk. It can be used in a variety of scenarios as well. We touched on the future-proofing aspect of the products because the commitment between Yealink and Microsoft is so strong to work towards that shared vision of an intelligent communication environment. We will continue to see ongoing support through the release of products on the hardware and software side. Yealink itself has been in the industry for 17 years in terms of a manufacturer. They have 1-year hardware manufacturing support included in all the products they sell. The relationship with Microsoft goes back even before this current version of T4 phones was released. So the readiness and availability of Yealink to respond to any changes in the channel in the industry is definitely something that makes them stand out. Their continued product development and product releases that have enabled their brand development and growth is something that also makes them stand out. So the combination of all 4 of these factors really creates a strong value proposition in terms of a reseller speaking to the end user of why they should consider Skype for Business enabled, Teams enabled Yealink phones for their current but also future communication plans. So to wrap that all up, this is what the current portfolio will look like with the release of the Teams-enabled T5 and CP960 conference phone. The T4 series will stay primarily devoted to the Skype for Business and Office 365 support that it currently and has previously done. They will be able to join Teams meetings by registration to a Microsoft gateway when that product is released. Using the T5 series phones in a team environment, you'll be able to have full-blown integration to the Teams software via an app, an application running on the device. And then as future releases of firmware and applications are released to the channel, they will support that migration and upgrade as well. And we'll also be able to join Skype for Business environments by way of the application and software upgrade. So right now I wanted to take a look and chat with, release the promotional program for the T5 series phones. When the T5 or T56, T58, and CP960 Teams enabled phones are released to the channel, we'll have 3 different registration opportunities for customers. They'll be surrounded around demo opportunities as well as sales opportunities, primarily around the sale of the conference phone. But what we will offer is up to a 60% off MSRP discount for demos, for a first-time demo of a Microsoft partner or a cloud service provider or a value-added reseller. If we're talking about a sales opportunity, there are opportunities for an additional 60% discount as well when we're talking about deals for 5 to 10 conference phones. Or we could look at getting a buy one, get one free CP960 with a 10 conference phone opportunity. Also, there'll be ongoing incentives for channel partners surrounded around the sale of the CP960. If the channel partner can complete 5 sales of a CP960 per month, they will earn a $30 per month, or I'm sorry, a $30 per unit rebate. And then with every deal registered and with a purchase of at least 3 CP960s at one time, you will earn a $30 per unit rebate as well. The terms and conditions of all these are pretty simple. Just the biggest thing is customers are required to complete and submit a registration form for the program specifically if they're looking to do the demo. If there's a specific sales opportunity, we also need to complete the program application, but also a deal registration. And if you've done that in the past, it'll all be the same information surrounded around the timeline of the project and a little bit of end user information. Okay, so I want to take this time just to go over a couple FAQs. We're getting towards the end here. I'm sure there's a couple questions out there, so I want to just address a couple questions that I think are relatively standard. So question around, when will the Teams Edition phones be released? Okay, so right now, as far as Yealink is planning, we're looking at Q4 of 2018. I can tell you right now that there is some beta testing going on within the channel of T5 enabled or Teams enabled T5 phones. I would think that in the next probably 30 to 60 days, we'll see some movement and some clarity around when in Q4 the product will be fully released as well. If you're a cloud service provider, value-added reseller, or current Yealink partner today, you can request a demo or a trial at the appropriate time. It may not be immediate, but there will be trial licenses available to customers that request them. All these requests can be sent directly to Yealink using the email here, ucinfo@yealink.com. And lastly, in the future, will the Skype for Business Edition IP phones within the T4 series upgrade to Teams? The answer at this time is no. In the future, there will be gateway support, registration gateway support for these phones to register to in order to access Teams events. And that will be something that will be released between Yealink and Microsoft. Also, after the CP960 is released for the SFB side of things, which has been done, the T56 and 58 will also support SFB, which has been done as well. So now we have the 960, 56, and 58 all on the Skype for Business side of things, and then in the future we'll see them integrate to Teams. So I just listed some additional FAQs. I'm not going to go through these all in detail. A lot of these came directly from Yealink, from some feedback that they got while displaying these products at road shows and trade shows and reaching out to different vendor partners. Want to just shoot this out there just for some context and clarity. At this point in time, if there's additional questions that you have for me, feel free to use the chat or the question feature on the presentation. My email here, I'm just going to provide it here real quick. You can email me. My name is Kyle here at 888VoIP at sales@888VoIP.com. If there's direct questions about the demo, the trial, the product release for Yealink, you can send that off to ucinfo@yealink.com. Throw up these FAQs one more time. Again, I want to say thank you for everyone taking time out of their day to meet with us. Got this in about 25 minutes, so that was hopefully not too much of a breakaway from the action. But if there's any questions specifically that you have for us here at 888VoIP, please reach out. Shoot an email to sales@888VoIP.com. We will be getting the Teams product in as soon as we possibly can for demo. Just waiting on the finishing touches from Yealink and Microsoft to do that. Again, if there's any questions, you can reach out to us here at 888 or Yealink directly using that ucinfo@yealink.com. I'll be on for the next probably 5-10 minutes here, just taking any questions that you might have. Just use the question or chat feature. Thank you again so much, and we really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.